Welcome back and thank you very much indeed. This TV3Newday and we're getting to the big issues segment brought to you by Niche Chocolate, and they have a wide range of products from the chocolate drink itself, a taste of Ghana, and the chocolate nuggets and bars, and you can enjoy it anywhere in this country. It's for everybody in the family, and you can take it anywhere. It's cute, it's well packaged, it's nutritious and rich with vitamin B, iron, zinc. Comes in 250 ml, the Doi packs as well, and chocolate packs. It's sweet for gifts. If you this weekend you want to celebrate and appreciate someone, you can always get Niche Chocolate and make sure they're smiling. Happy birthday in advance to Mr. Adolph Lawson. Sunday will be your birthday. Also, a happy birthday to Mrs. Vida Ofori Amoa, a.k.a. Ajua Adumia of Ashalebotwe Japan Motors, from your children and grandchildren. A happy birthday also to Lenat Osman Kundaribio, finalist of the MTN Heroes of Change for outstanding social impact in their lives. This from Alvin Noy. And also a happy birthday to Minae Kukwa Nimzi and Achatepa. Well, they're sending a sweet birthday to Mrs. Agnes Maud Na Kodai Gansa. That's my little sister. Happy birthday to you, Maud. And a happy birthday also to Lady Euphemia. 17th July will be your birthday. So Maud had a birthday on the 15th of July, and then 17th July will be that of Lady Euphemia Presla Lai. This is from your dad, the Venerable Major Ebenezer Ni Adi Lai, retired, and also all the family, Captain Nicholas and Selina and the rest of the family, Mother Presla Prudence as well. A happy birthday also to Alhaji Al-Hassan Ibn Ibrahim of Sakafia Islamic Educational Complex in Kumasi. A happy birthday. May you live to be 100. This from Farida Bint Al-Hassan, University of Development Studies in Tamale. And if you're admiring what I'm wearing, it's from Sonar Fashions in Tamale as well. 0246 590162. Again, 0246 590162. Get something special for yourself. The weekend today says, breaking the 8. Who leads MPP to the dreamland? Indom renews faith in God, thanks family and staff. And Ghana's return to IMF, people's views. Let's vote for party loyalists. The Accra Times. Bagbin clarion call to Ghanaian politicians as it calls for non-partisan approach to challenges facing Ghana food, buffer stock and school feeding program. Also, SIM registration, a vehicle for economic growth. Minister response to Tempani MP's question. Also, Medina MP quizzes Interior Minister and Busa youth up in arms over bad roads. Yesterday, I'm told there was some uproar in Swami over bad roads as well. Good morning to Honorable Sechi Mensah. You're a minister. What's your value at the table? Daily Analyst, Akufo-Addo running Ghana on autopilot, Akando. No new voters register. EC debunks NDC's allegation, says current register is very credible. Bagbin refers tax waiver report back to Finance Committee. Ghana's economy will emerge stronger, according to Dr. Bawumia. Mayor Kofi preaches welfare messages to delegates, and Ghana has been hit by quadruple whammy, according to Dr. Bawumia. Republic Press, Ken Ofori-Atta must take personal decision to resign. Kwadwo Mpieni says that he was the chief of staff in the Kufuor administration. Health workers threaten to lay down tools if government refuses to pay 20% COLA. Well, they got 15%, so I'm sure they will go back or rescind that decision. Eastern region, we're considering closing down SHS over food shortage. CHAS, Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools. Mr. President, where the kiddies are mature day. All set for NPP Big Day, and Bawumia nails Mahama after 6 years, I should add. The Finder newspaper, I offer the most comprehensive solutions, Asabi, and endorse my experience and hard work. John Boydu, IMF bailout, economy will emerge stronger. Experience gained makes me best for national organizer. Nana B, he's looking forward to become the national organizer. He's presently the national youth organizer. Daily Guide, ex-Capital Bank boss punches at 2 ASEAN. Massive shake-up at Forestry Commission. Daily Guide increases cover price from what to what. The Times recently increased to four cities. 54 billion Ghana cedis debt pushed Ghana to IMF, says Dr. Bawumia. And let's vote for party loyalists, according to Alan Tremanting. NDC leaders fight over cash. The BNFT, planting for food and jobs yield $6 billion worth of food in 5 years, but cost of food remains a concern. Where is the food? That's the basic question. Bank of Ghana to have first right to refusal for gold purchase, Bawumia, as means to stabilize the city. GMPC kicks off a Salt Pond field decommissioning project. The Ghanaian Times, 4 blows force Ghana to IMF. Veep explains country's decision to seek support from the fund. Teacher union strike. Government organized labor agree on 15% COLA. Comes to the foot of Mr. Thomas Musa, is the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Apiati, contractors to move to site in 2 weeks. Deputy Lands Minister. Why did they move out of site? No money. The Daily Graphic. Police deploy 3,000 personnel for MPP conference. 20 polling centers to speed up process. Organized labor secures 15% COLA. Acquire professional certificate of forfeit appointment. Teaching council. Stabilizing the city. Building resilient economy. Bank of Ghana granted first gold purchasing right. And what's on the back page? Osman Bukari, Black Star slippery winger. That's him there. Great guy by all standards. My guest this morning, lawyer Abraham Amalba. He is the head of the NDC's legal team. He is also a member of the National Communications team. And lawyer Kwame Jantwa is the head of the CPP's Political Affairs Committee. He's also a private legal practitioner. And Honorable Fuseni Issa, or Issa Fuseni, Fuseni Issa is the former member of parliament for the Okaikwe North constituency. He is a banker, a finance person, and a shadow finance minister. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
How are you, sirs? Fuseni, how are you? What are you celebrating? White.
Oh, it's a Friday, and I'm already in the victory mood for my party's congress coming up tomorrow. I'm elated that we've been able to begin the processes from the polling station, finally at the national level, and looking forward to a very successful event tomorrow. And I think that the celebration should start now. So I am already in the celebratory mood because it puts us instead, strengthens our party and puts the structures in place and ready for whatever is ahead of us as a political party.
Right. Maba, how are you, sir?
We are managing. Ghanaians have always been managers, but this time my concern has to do with people who this morning cannot get cocoa to drink as breakfast or any other food to eat as breakfast. And this has been compounded by the reckless comments by the Vice President yesterday when he sought to rather blame the NDC for the chaotic economic situation that we find ourselves in. And so I'm not a happy man this morning, but be that as it may, we are still soldiering on.
Do you have your survival certificate yet?
I indicated the last 2 weeks I was here that we need to be giving survival certificates every Friday, and I still stand by it. I think that it is more difficult to live in this country than to even live in Croatia, where there are bombs.
That's extreme.
In fact, there are Ghanaians who have indicated that they would rather stay in Ukraine to die when the bombs are thrown at them than to come to Ghana. That tells you the kind of economic situation we find ourselves. It's dire. And so I have advocated that as part of the government's magnanimity, they should provide us with certificates of survival. That will show that we are rather, as Ghanaians, we are resilient and we are able to withstand the harsh economic conditions.
I hear you. Jantwa.
Sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you?
By His grace, I'm breathing.
That's a Friday going already.
It's worrying, the kind of economy we've placed ourselves in. And we don't seem to be able to get out of the challenges that are facing us. The Vice President tells us that we should continue to tighten our belts because it's going to get worse. Then I was thinking, what are you going to do about it? Your government in power.
aren't you supposed to tell us how you're going to help us at least release that belt a little bit? So it's challenging. And I pity those who are renting houses. I pity those who have to pay school fees. I pity those who have to use public transport every day. I pity those who don't have 3 square meals a day. It's a challenging time, and we need to be able to sort these problems out together as a nation, not as one party, because awesome problems. And it's going to go on.
But fuel prices, I'm told, will come down sometime.
11%.
Yes.
How much is that?
It will drop.
Yeah, drop to what? If diesel drops to 11%, how much is
Petrol.
diesel? Is the price not still in the teens? It's still in the teens.
That's right.
It's 13 something. If it drops by 11%, it's 11 something. It's still in the teens. Can't afford it.
But the last time we were promised the same thing.
That it will come down.
It will come down, and rather we went to the pumps, it went up.
Then Abaji wanted me to sing praises.
The other thing is
I wanted
that
to hold
if government knew they were going to be able to get the unions to agree to this, why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? If you knew you could give 15%, why all the hoo-ha? Why?
There's negotiations. Sometimes you
You
negotiate and press.
Not in this present
Maybe they could
time.
have gotten 10 if they.
Well, but why weren't they prepared to sit with them and make sure that we can sort this out? And now, even when they said they should go on strike, they should come on strike, they decided to sit with them and talk. Why didn't they do it before? Why string it so far?
Okay. Let's begin the conversation.
Let's hope they give the 15%.
Right.
Otherwise, if not, they'll go back on strike.
Okay. I hope not. But we tweet at TV3 Ghana. Hashtag is TV3Newday. And I tweet at Hughes_on air. That's HUGHES_on air. Let's listen to Vice President Bawumia telling us how we got here. And then we'll come back into the studio for that conversation.
It's really the reason why Ghana had to go to the IMF. I should again note that Ghana has been hit with a quadruple whammy. A quadruple whammy. The energy sector excess capacity payments, banking sector cleanup, COVID-19, and the Russia-Ukraine war. We have been hit by this quadruple whammy. And I say again that if you take out the fiscal impact of this quadruple whammy, Ghana will not be going to the IMF for support.
Quadruple whammy. Interesting phrase, Hussein. So this is what the Vice President is saying. Is that the truth?
Yes, Johnny, I saw your earlier expose or segments of it, and I am thinking that we as a government, as a people, it's important that we understand why we are where we are today. What the Vice President sought to do yesterday, I think that it was a school, Accra Business
School. That's right.
School, right? Had invited him to make a speech because they were introducing some IT programs in their school. I happened to be driving in town at the time, so I got an opportunity to listen to him. So after he had elaborated on the benefits we are talking, or the essence of us going into this, what he's championed over the years, the digitalization agenda, he thought it was an opportunity for him to also make some on the economy. So he went on to explain.
In fact, it was advertised.
He went on to explain to us. It was advertised that he was going to the Accra Business School for a program.
Right.
I mean,
it was advertised that he was going to talk about the economy.
I had seen a tweet from a senior party person on that issue.
So this is what the flyer says. It says Bawumia speaks.
I didn't see the flyer.
Hold on.
But
hold on. For clarity's sake, hold on. Bawumia speaks on IMF, education, and government's digitalization agenda. Accra Business School, 2 p.m., live on all social media platforms. This is the flyer.
Yeah, that's a flyer.
So the IMF was advertised. He didn't take an opportunity to. He went there purpose to speak about it as well.
Johnny Given. Right. I have been in this studio so many times, hammering and saying the same things that the Vice President said yesterday.
Right. Is that the truth?
Whether or not you want to take it, I mean, sometimes it's very difficult to wake up somebody who is pretending to be asleep than somebody who is really sleeping. Because when the guy is pretending to be asleep, he has closed his conscience to anything. I mean, pour water on him because he's pretending or he's taking a stance that he's not going to react to whatever is thrown at him. It's a different ball game. But it's very obvious, very, very obvious. Those 4 items that we have. I have been here so many times. We have spoken about this in so many times, and that is the truth. And that is what we'll keep explaining to Ghanaians, why we are where we are today. Today, it's what is happening. It's not unique to Ghana, but in our circumstances, I've heard people ask that in the sub-region, why is probably our neighboring countries not going through similar situations like we are doing? Unfortunately, they have not had to deal with the banking sector cleanup like we have had to do. They have not had to look for 25 billion to clean up their banking sector because they have been responsible in regulating that environment over the years. They have not had to look for 16 billion to do pay of energy sector IPPs that were unnecessarily signed and committed by a government of this nation. So they have not had to contend with it. But when it comes to the 2 other issues, the COVID situation, the situation in Russia and Ukraine, it's being held by everybody. Today, the IMF tells us that over 90 countries are in one program or the other, or at a stage in some negotiations with the IMF, all because of just 2. So when we unfortunately have had to deal with 4 items at the same time, certainly the impact on us was going to be greater than other
Don't you think
other
that
economies.
the government brought this upon itself when in opposition, Vice President Bawumia asked how the trouble jumped Ivory Coast, jumped Togo, jumped Nigeria, and got only
Which
to
troubles
Ghana?
were that?
Well, he mentioned it. He mentioned
Which
that,
troubles were that?
you know, we're blaming, what do you call it, economic woes on whatever it is, on a certain global trend.
No, you are not being specific. You are just, I'm saying which, because look, I have followed
You're
his
doubting that
speeches
the
right
Vice
from.
President said that?
Yeah, all I'm asking is that be specific.
Okay.
Be specific. What exactly did he say? Because I was at a seminar even before we came into power.
Okay.
In 2015, 2016, thereabout, when he told us what was happening in the financial sector.
Right.
He mentioned the number of banks that were on life support because we had seen the asset quality review report of the Bank of Ghana in 2015, and we knew the problem that was our banking sector was facing even before we came into government, because it was a public document.
Okay.
Right? We have gone through the processes, and so it's very obvious. We are not saying that we are not in hard times. We all know that the times are not normal. But this is the reasons why we find ourselves where we are. And as a government, we are just not looking on. We are taking measures. Measures are being taken to ensure that the ordinary Ghanaian is cushioned from the impact of this dire economic situations. And so we'll continue to explain to people, we'll continue to work as a government to ensure that we survive as a nation, and the good people of Ghana are cushioned to a very large extent on the impact of these global issues that is affecting everybody in the world. I mean, just yesterday, look at the situation of the public sector workers.
Right.
It's true. We recognize that inflation is somewhere in the ranges of 29%, and so the real value of their incomes would have been eroded. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. But you see, when somebody wants some more salary, or like cola as we want to term it, the money will have to come from somewhere. The money will have to come from somewhere.
Because at the time,
governments operate on fiscal policies. In November of last year, government went to Parliament and said, in the ensuing year, 2022, this is the projected income that I foresee getting, and this is how we're going to spend it. Whether there's some deficit, this is how we're going to finance it. I mean, that's what governments do. So when out of the blue we are in a situation like this, and we have to cough up additional about 120 million cedis a month to be able to cater for this cola, then it's a situation that we have to be careful and have to be sure that this is where those resources are going to come for us to be able to pay to make this payment. And so it is not just a case of government meeting the worker. Thankfully, I am happy and I am elated that whatever negotiations, I mean, it started on the wrong foot with some of the people having to walk out and all of that. I am thankful and I am very happy that
why did it
finally
have to take this long?
Oh, but they are negotiations are not an event. You bring your position, I bring my position, and we have to find a middle ground. Because government, like I'm saying, you are demanding additional salary in the form of cola. Government will have to make sure that, look, the money will have to come from somewhere, and for the money to come from somewhere, you either revise on some other line items within the budget or something to make provision for resources to cater for this. And it's not an event. You come with your position, I come with my position. We have to find a middle ground. Thankfully, we have a middle ground, and we can move on. I mean, nobody is saying that we are in rosy times. We identify. Government has said it. The president has said it. Vice president has said it. Government ministers and senior people in the party have said it. But government at this time is doing the very best to ensure that
why is the government blaming the previous government? I mean, so far I've not heard the government saying that it is because we did ABC, that is why we are here. It either has to be Russia or Ukraine or a certain banking sector cleanup, which is related to the previous government, you say, or a certain energy sector debt, which is related to the previous government.
It is not a case of a blame.
No, I'm coming. In the mix of the four, what did government contribute to get us to where we are? Government has not said it.
I've had this discussion with you as to what government has done to bring us to this level. Government is saying that, look, we are here because the 53 billion that we have had to spend on this particular issues or sectors, right? The 53 billion, they have an opportunity cost. If today, that 53 billion was available to Ghana, I am sure that some of the issues that we are facing today, being it fuel prices, being it inflation and all of that, could have been catered for. Every resource has an alternative use, which is the opportunity cost. But because we have had to prioritize these sectors, because we have had to spend on COVID to preserve lives, because we have had to spend on the banking sector cleanup to ensure that we don't have a broken economy, to ensure that we keep our lights on, we have had to spend an extra 16 billion. That if we had been responsible, if the NDC government had been responsible, if they had regulated the banking sector as was supposed to have happened, we wouldn't have had to spend that 25
You think that after 6 years you need to be blaming your predecessor?
After 6 years, it is not a case of after 6 years. Look, the impact of this will stay with us for the next 20 years.
Really?
Yes, this is 25 billion. It is not 25,000.
But I thought you said you fixed it.
We have fixed it, but that is why I'm saying that we had to look for the resources, which has an opportunity cost. We had to look for the resource, which has an opportunity cost. If this 25 billion was available, or we didn't have to spend the 25 billion to clean the financial sector, I am sure more roads would have been fixed. I'm sure that our NIA card that the expose that you just made about the NIA card would have been completed, and everybody, I mean, we would have gotten to a much better point than we are today because these resources have alternative uses. That is why.
You know what we had intention to spend for the banking sector cleanup.
What we
intention to spend about 9 or so billion. We ended up spending. But the government announced it for saying stop. Now we went ahead and spent more. Yes. Eventually we arrived at 25, right? Yeah. Couldn't we have used the 25 to sustain the banks, wipe out those who were causing the wrong, and keep the jobs?
Why I don't even want to go down this route, because look, one of the cases is in court. right? One of the cases that we hear, the capital.
Right.
I think there was an issue.
That's right.
In
That's
the
right.
papers this
Capital
morning,
Bank, yeah.
Capital Bank issue. This was a bank when they even got stimulus packages from the central bank,
600
right?
million.
Somebody earned 27 million Ghana cedis as finder's fee on the stimulus resources that they had gotten from the central bank to fix the situation that they had created within.
So hold those people accountable and then run the banks, keep the jobs.
Why do you think that government has or government needs to keep all the government consolidated all those banks anyway?
And you lost jobs. People lost jobs.
How many jobs we had? More people would have lost jobs if we had sat down, looked on for all these banks to have collapsed. Over 4,000 more people would have lost jobs. 4,000 more people would have lost their jobs if the government had sat down, looked on for all these banks to collapse.
Okay. Danny played a video for me, Dr. Bawumia, telling us how in the past the situation jumped Ivory Coast and all the other countries and came to Ghana. Husseini has forgotten.
You have to ask is how can global phenomena Cote d'Ivoire and all the surrounding countries and only attack Ghana? How? How?
I just had to.
No, but you see, no. I really can't.
But you
can't follow where the argument is.
You were asking for specific. I just showed you what.
Yes, he has.
And I'm saying that could this be the reason why people can't? Hold on. I'm saying that could this be the reason? What Dr. Bawumia said now. Could this be the reason why people don't see reason with you that you are talking about our peculiar situation, but all the countries around us are not going through the same thing? Could this be the reason? Today,
as we speak, all the countries around us are going through the same thing.
Same.
Yeah, they are.
Same.
They are. There might have been some. There would have been. You probably. What?
Inflation.
I would have listened to it, but let me tell you why inflation and fuel prices in those countries are more manageable. One, those countries, they belong to a monetary union, the CFA union. There are about 14 countries in there. Their reserves are managed from France. They don't run a floating currency regime like we do, where demand and supply of the dollar determines the value of the cedi. No, their currency is pegged to the euro. Yeah. And so they don't suffer the depreciation of a currency like we do. It is a choice that we have made.
Does the Vice President
deregulation policy that was introduced in 2016 or 2015, they probably are not under the same regime. Okay. So certainly we have made choices, policy choices which are not unique to this government.
Does the Vice President know this?
Oh, of course. I mean, this is.
Did he know this in the past?
Of course. I mean.
So why did he make that argument?
The argument he was making. Now, if the video I just saw could have been when we had gone to the IMF in 2015.
Right.
In 2015.
That's right.
And what made us go to the IMF in 2015?
Low commodity prices.
Malaba, please allow him.
Low commodity prices, one of them. And remember, we had been to energy crisis and economic activity in this country had come to.
Your inflation is 29% and over.
Our inflation is 29%.
26, then went to 27, now at 29.
Check the inflation in the US. It's at a 40-year high.
July inflation.
Check inflation in the UK. It's at a 40-year high. 40-year high. Check. I mean, look at all around.
In the UK, the citizens have access to credits. They have access to social amenities. You can't compare. You can't compare.
Then again, a moment ago, you were bashing the Ghana card system. You were bashing the Ghana card. Dr. Bawumia had said that he would prefer a Ghana card over 1,000 interchanges, and I stand by him. Okay. And I think that is apt.
You support him?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, because of potentially what the Ghana card could bring to us.
Futuristic
just identifying people, where they live and what they do, knowing what they do alone could affect our tax system and the ripple effect in the economy. It's so huge that it could be more than 1,000 bridges. I stand by him. I think the statement is apt, and that is what
you're counting your eggs before they are hatched.
It is not an event. I told you, it is not. It's a process. Okay. Today, our banking system is linked up. I sit here, all the bank accounts that I have, they know that, look, it belongs to this guy. So whatever transaction happens.
So if I don't have a Ghana card, my money is locked in the bank, my own money.
How many people don't have Ghana cards?
Okay. Council, good morning.
Morning.
Dr. Bawumia spoke You heard him.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Are there people in this country who still believe Bawumia when he speaks? Are there people in this country?
Dr. Bawumia, please. Let's give him his PhD. He earned it.
Are there people who still believe him when he speaks?
Why should people not believe him?
See, I'm sure this morning, Dr. Bawumia's father will be turning in his grave.
Oh, how?
Because anytime Bawumia speaks, more often than not, he brings disgrace to the family name. You are in your almost 6th year in your 8-year term, and you are blaming the previous government for going to IMF. You are in your almost 6th year. And what you can do is to blame the current economic mess that we are facing. You attribute it to the previous administration. That, for me, doesn't wash. Look, Bawumia talks about the energy sector crisis. He talks about the other one.
Russia, Ukraine, and then
No,
the
he
energy
talked
sector.
two local ones.
And then the banking sector.
The banking sector
and the
cleanup.
energy sector crisis.
Cleanup.
Yeah. The energy sector debt, sorry.
Let's take the banking cleanup.
Together it's 41 billion. That's
Let's take the banking sector cleanup.
What about it?
Bawumia says that they use 25 billion to clear it. Never mind, even the Bank of Ghana said that it was like 16 billion. But was it the NDC? Was it the NDC? Was it?
Because some of the entities are not all of the sector was regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Others are by SEC.
Allow him.
Was it the NDC that told this government to use their draconian approach in dealing with the banking cleanup?
I say you brought it upon us.
But the approach they used, is it the NDC that told them to use that approach where they literally collapse banks belonging to their opponents? Is it the NDC that told them that? You just indicated to him that they could have bailed out those banks. We needed 9 billion. It was a 9 billion crisis. You end up using 25 billion and you attribute that to the NDC. Under the NDC, they should tell us, under the NDC, which customer of a bank in this country went to his bank and the bank said they couldn't pay. Stop doing and answer it. The is not an answer.
Are you cross-examining him?
Give me one customer in Ghana.
The banks were
Who worked?
There was a report. Let me refer you.
You forget
to
about
2015,
that.
There was an asset
I am
quality
saying
report.
that.
It was
I am
just
saying
a matter
that.
of time.
Yes.
For people to go to the commercial banks and be told that you cannot get your money. There was a report. I am referring.
So you are now playing God. You are now playing God to know that in future people.
You knew about the report.
And I'm saying that
you looked on it.
I am asking a question.
Like they say.
I am asking. Can you answer that question directly?
What question?
Which customer of a bank went to the bank or his bank? And that the bank said they couldn't pay.
Look, at the time,
So stop.
People came to my house. I'll show you documents.
But you invited
I'll
him.
show you documents to that
I
extent.
should rein him. You invited
I will
him.
show you documents to that. I was an MP. People came to my house and said that I have put my money here and I've gone for it and they are unable to give me my money. I'll give you documents.
I think you should note your reservations. He
invited me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I told him.
That's why I have to respond.
Let's be fair so that we can share the
So
time.
there was no customer in Ghana who went to a bank and the bank said that they couldn't pay the person. Now, if the banks were distressed, what was the reason for their distress? Two things. Exposure to SOEs and then the BDCs. What did we do? We brought in ESLA to deal with that matter. By 2021, ESLA had accrued 23 billion, which could have been used to deal with the banking crisis. You chose your draconian way to deal with the matter, then you turn around and blame the NDC.
Well, they say they saved deposits.
How?
Deposits of people.
And I'm saying that you chose your method, your crude method, which went a long way to hurt the banks. And customers, workers lost jobs. And today, you want to blame the NDC for that. When indeed the NDC, when we were living, we had put in an ESLA. Indeed, we had passed certain legislation which was geared towards dealing with those, the issue. One is the Banks and Special Deposits Taking Institutions Act. That was to address the issues in the banking sector. Two, the Ghana Deposit Protection Act.
But that act was not passed by
I'm saying that we had put in place these laws to be able to deal with.
And what was
those,
the effect of these laws on the situation at the time?
And I'm saying that when they came, they jettisoned all of this. If they had followed through with the ESLA fund to deal with it, they won't be using 25 billion.
Why did they jettison it?
That is for them to answer. That is for them to answer. And so you cannot therefore turn around and say that it is the NDC. What? Look. 3 months ago, just 3 months ago, before they went to IMF, this is what Bawumia said.
Before we went to IMF.
Yes. Is that not good English? Ghana's growth.
He wants you to include all of us.
No, we are not part of them.
Ghana's
this is 3 months. 3 months ago.
3 months ago, yeah.
This is what Bawumia said. Ghana's growth fundamentals are strong and resilient. And he went further to say this. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia insists that the foundations of Ghana's economy are not weak as perceived. He maintained that the fundamentals are still strong and resilient despite the existing economic recession. So this is a man who 3 months ago told the whole world, and this was when he was addressing the youth of the MPP at Kaswa.
That's right.
You remember that?
I remember.
And I'm sure you people have it.
I was there.
So if with the banking crisis, with the
energy sector, Russia, Ukraine.
No, let's even stop. With these two, you came out to say that our economy is resilient. Why should we now believe you when you come to say that it is those things that led us to the IMF? Because you had done them. You had cleaned the bank.
May I?
You had cleaned the banks. You had also dealt with the excess capacity. And that's how come you are now saying that the economy is resilient. And when they say the economy is resilient, what does it mean?
Tell me.
It means that it can withstand shocks. So 3 months ago, this is what you were saying. It's not as if after you said this, then suddenly you started cleaning the banks. After you said this, then suddenly the energy matters came up. So I am asking the question, are there people in this country who still believe Dr. Bawumia?
You don't trust him. You don't trust Dr. Bawumia.
Look, we have seen vice presidents. We've seen Ko Nkesiaka. We've seen Mills. We've seen Aliu Mahama. We've seen John Mahama as vice president. They come to the job with dignity and respect. When they speak, they don't embroil themselves in such controversies. They complement the effort of their presidents. What their presidents lack, they complement it. And they came to the job with some dignity. Can you say the same thing about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? I've just given you how he flip-flops. You know, flip-flops. And that kind of person cannot be trusted when he speaks. So it worries me as a Ghanaian. If close to your 6th year of your 8-year term, you look back and say that it is your opponent. I was the first person on your program in 2018 to christen this government as a useless government. And this confirms it.
Okay.
If you have a vice president who is the leader of the economic management team, is faced with an economic challenge such as this, and what he can do and tell the people of this country is that it is his predecessors 6 years ago who caused the economic mess. Is that not a useless government that he presides over?
Okay. Let's bring Lawyer Jantua in. Lawyer Jantua, did Dr. Bawumia meet your marking scheme?
Good morning to everyone.
Morning, sir.
The epistle according to Dr.
Good morning,
Bawumia.
Mr.
Good morning, Hussein.
You're not saying good morning to him.
The epistle.
He said good morning to the viewers.
The epistle.
forgot
And
that
good
I'm
morning.
a very good friend of
Good
his.
morning, Council.
Morning.
Please say good morning to Fuseni too before he takes issue.
I've said good
Unlike
morning to
Amaliba,
him.
I
I said
will
good
insist
morning
what
to
you-
him.
you said that to her, I will
Okay.
insist.
Okay. The epistle according to Vice President Bawumia. This platform was a platform for the president. It wasn't a platform for the vice president. I believe that if the president was the one who took this platform, the discussion could have been different. Because we've heard it and heard it and heard it over again, the flip-flopping of Vice President Bawumia. So I asked the question, if part of going to the IMF was the fault of the NDC, why were they resisting going to the IMF? Because we can say that they knew all along that these two areas, apart from the so-called Ukraine and what you call it, COVID, they
They
knew.
left us an economy which was under the IMF.
When you were talking, I
allow
kept
Lawyer
quiet.
Jantua.
Oh, no, I just
Honorable.
Allow
just
Lawyer
for
Jantua.
information.
He made his notes. Allow
The
him.
economy we
no,
inherited was
please-
under the IMF.
please-
That's just what
Please
I've
make
read.
it. But you came and extended the
Please.
IMF program.
Please.
Because they had not met all the
I was
criteria
even going to come there. You knew that the
Because
previous
of all the
because
criteria.
Allow him,
the
please.
previous government
Let's be fair to him.
the previous government caused the push to IMF now 6 years ago. Then you ask the question, where's perpetual secession in the whole realm of affairs? Because you take over from what the previous government did, and you run with it and you try and sort it out. So you knew that. Why did you not, when people started talking IMF 3-4 months ago, why didn't you go to the IMF? 1. 2, I believe they are setting the stage for 2024.
Right.
They are setting, and look, one smart thing the MPP is good at, they can project into the future so that they start now and use it into the future. They'll keep saying it.
Sticks.
It sticks into people's minds. It sticks into people's minds. Because this epistle that Vice President Bawumia has read, there are too many inconsistencies in it.
Like what?
2015 to 2019, we were still under an IMF program,
That's right.
weren't we? When did we come out of it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So are they saying that IMF program created us going back into an IMF program again? Is that what they're telling us? We were already in one. We exited and we are now back into it. If it so happened that 2015, 2019, we went under an IMF, maybe we can give them the benefit of the doubt. But we were stooped in an IMF program. So that course us back into the IMF. Then let me ask, wasn't it the same Vice President Bawumia who indicated that he wasn't interested in borrowing for using borrowed money to spend for consumption?
That's right.
And that we should use it for capital expenditure. Where are the capital expenditure that we have for all the borrowing? Was he able to tell us? Was he able to show us? Most of the spending, most of the borrowing that we had, hasn't it gone into consumption? Did he talk about it? No, he didn't. Do you know there are people today who haven't been paid from the banking crisis, who are still going through challenges? And if he says that we didn't have the money. They had to conjure the money. Don't we, at the present moment, didn't they introduce a financial sector cleanup tax to help handle the debt?
That's right.
What has happened to that?
Somebody just sent me this. It says, so good morning, sir, madam. Please, I'm humbly following up for the feedback and possible detail for payment. Please, thank you for your kind consideration. And then the receiver response says, per our records, you have 1,036 cedis. The receiver has requested for supplementary money to pay the rest of claims left, and we start payment when the money comes through, please. This was as far back as November 2021. And as of now, they have not been paid. This is one person who has not been paid. So where did the 25 billion go?
There you go. You told us that you
So
had.
that was to the receiver.
They told.
right? So the receiver is still working.
They told us that.
This will have to.
They told us that they had addressed the financial sector crisis and touted it as a success and an achievement. So what went wrong?
It's a
Look,
process.
look.
What is the process?
Because Indum's bank.
You caused it. If you are not.
Because
Allow. So, wait for saying me. I said, sorry.
perpetual secession. Perpetual secession. Whether they cost it or didn't cost, perpetual secession. Yours is to make sure that you rectify.
But ours is not to create a problem.
Huh?
It's not to create a problem.
You see, what I don't understand is why the MPP government feel that they are squeaky clean. Squeaky clean. They haven't caused any problem in the economy whatsoever.
Throw debt at us. Tell us what we have done. Yes, tell us.
Where are we for our debt? Where's our debt levels now?
That is why we are telling
Where
you.
are
And we'll
debt
keep
levels
explaining to
now?
you.
Okay.
We'll keep explaining
Where
to you.
are debt-
No, he's asking me where.
You are deliberately.
Yes,
He's asking me where our debt levels are.
You are not being fair to both of them. You had more time than they both did. I gave you about 16 minutes. Amalaba had less than that. Lajanta will have less than that. So allow them to go ahead. And I gave you 15
No,
for
they
good
are
reason.
rhetorical.
You are in power.
questions
They are
that
in
like
oppositions. That's why I gave you plenty.
They are rhetorical questions. that
So
invite
rhetorical
you.
questions are not supposed to be answered.
Did you not bring in a tax to handle the financial crisis? Did you not? I'm asking you. Did you not?
Okay,
Should I-
he's inviting you.
I'm
Yes.
asking you, and
Yes,
I
we have.
don't want you to
We
give
have
me.
that tax.
I don't want you to give me.
That tax.
I'm
that-
asking
that
you a
tax-
question. Did
that
you or
tax-
did you not?
That tax will
No.
not-
Did you bring it or
Did
not?
you
Yes
or
or
did
no?
you or did you?
Oh,
Yes
but
or
it
no?
is not a
I
binary
don't
thing.
need.
It's
I
a
don't
yes or
need.
no
Yes.
answer.
Is it
We
yes
have
or
not
no?
brought a
explain
tax
it.
that will accumulate
No,
revenue
no.
over
So you brought
time.
it. You brought
Over
it.
time.
Did you
So you brought
bring-
it.
Over time,
did
we
you
are
bring
bringing
it?
the resources.
So you brought
It's
it.
over
Did
time.
you bring a
But
tax?
it is not an event.
Did
When
you-
we bring a tax handle,
what is
it is
not an
not an
event?
event that you bring a tax
I
handle
think
and automatically within the same year
I
or within
think you have
the
not answered the question. You answered a different question. He says, did you introduce a tax for the banking sector cleanup or not?
And you want me to answer that question?
Yes.
And
Have you-
I'm saying that
I want
we
a
have
yes or
brought-
no.
Oh, how can you say you want a yes or no?
Did you
question?
bring a tax? Yes.
Just like
then now you
We
can
have
tell us
brought-
whether
we have
when you
brought
bring
a tax that will accumulate resources over time.
no.
So you are not answering the question. It's just like God asking Adam, where are you? And you said that I'm naked. Why?
That is not what I'm saying.
That's what you are doing.
That is not what I'm saying.
Where are you? You say I'm naked. They are asking you a question.
But
Did
that's
you
not what I'm
bring
saying.
a tax or not?
And I'm
We
saying
brought
that,
it.
I am
We
saying
didn't
that
bring it,
you
that's
don't
all.
answer that question a yes or no, a binary black or white thing. I am saying that we have brought a tax that will accumulate resources over time.
So your
It
answer
is not
is
an
yes.
event.
So your answer is yes.
It is not an event. I have answered the question.
So your answer
you
is
can take
yes.
it. You take it as you. I have said what I want to say.
Okay, I hear you. Council, wrap up for me, please. Sorry.
Have they even been able to tell us how much we've accumulated in that tax? Have they told us?
Oh, he has not invited you.
Have they
This
told
one
us?
is mine.
Have they told us?
No, no.
It's mine. I beg you, it's mine. I don't answer questions, but it's mine. Council, please speak to me.
You know, Dr. Bawumia talked about what they've brought in, address system interoperability,
Right. Ghana card.
planting for food and jobs, IDF, Ghana card, one district, one factory. Fine. Fine, oh. Fine. Good, what do you call it?
Paperless sport as
Yeah,
well.
well, fine. But what is the impact?
Should I say tell you?
Oh.
Allow him. Rhetorical question. Please note your reservations. Thank you.
We talk about free SHS. It has had some impact. Is it sustainable? Has it been sustainable? How much money have we used for free SHS? That couldn't probably have been done differently. Some of the things we said then as to how we can operate the free SHS, They are now admitting that, yes, probably we should think about it again.
Like what?
The fact that our own vice finance minister,
yes,
what did he say? If I can afford to pay for my children, why do I have to, why does government have to pay for
Then
me?
Deputy Minister for Education, our minister, said that was his opinion, not the opinion of.
Are we not considering it now? Hasn't it come up? Has it not come up?
Government has not.
And when you look at the challenges, and they're saying that it's because of the NDC, that's why they had to borrow. Weren't they warned by institutions like the World Bank about Ghana's debt level? Did they do anything about it? Right now, do we not have a 1 billion loan approvement in Parliament? Do we not have it?
We do.
Do we have the money? And Vice President, I don't know why I keep calling President. Vice President Bawumia
This is the incoming president.
talks about the Bank of Ghana and gold. Some of us have been standing on the treetops shouting it for years. That you get a country like the UK who don't mine gold, but their currency is supported by gold. And we, gold producing country, what did he tell us? That the last time it was only 8 ounces in Bank of Ghana.
8 kilograms.
Whatever it is, isn't it a shame that a country that is number 1 in gold production, we are not supported? We don't even have a refinery. Some of the things he didn't talk about: corruption, wastage, size of government, lack of jobs, youth unemployment, fuel prices, huge debt burden, inflation rocketing, cost of food, galamsey.
Why do you think he didn't talk about them?
Because they know that they haven't been able to
But you
conquer these
expect him to
things.
talk about everything on this
Look,
platform.
42-page document. 42-page document.
And that will address every issue in this country.
The point I'm trying to tell you is that the important things that people wanted to hear, he didn't address.
But you just read the flyer.
Allow, please. Allow.
No. Johnny,
Have you read the
it's
document?
painful.
Have you read the
It's
document?
painful. It's not about the document.
Have you read the
just
document?
Read the flyer.
Right.
I said, have you
There
read?
were 2 items on the flyer.
Should I send it to you?
3. What were they?
Should I send it to you?
The IMF,
Education.
education.
And then one other, I forgot.
So why should
You're
we
using that
speak
as
about
a
all the
platform to speak to Ghanaians.
And how many issues can he address on that platform?
Wait.
Allow him.
Wait.
Please. Allow him. So
If for
we'll have to
nothing
take a
at
break.
all, if for nothing at all, he could have told us the places that they haven't been able to conquer and places they were able to conquer. Look, in the list of things he's giving me, address system. How many people know their, what do you call it? The address system. How many people? You know your address
Yes,
system?
I do.
Johnny, do you know your address system? The address they've given you. Do you know the number?
Jack, where are you?
Do you know? Mamela, do you know the number?
I don't know.
3, 4,
How many
9,
people?
1, 1859.
What is the impact?
They're showing people your house.
What is the
very
impact?
bold. It's
a public- it's a public
listen.
place.
What is the impact? You could have brought ABCD in. What has the impact been on Ghanaians? That is where the question is. And I don't
I'll tell you the impact.
I don't think they have been able to convince Ghanaians that they have done things that have impacted the people.
One of the reasons why we had high interest rates was because of non-performing loans. And loans were not performing because these banks did not even know where their customers lived or could not even trace their customers after they have granted facilities.
Are you trying to tell me?
Now, when you are giving a Ghana card and it has your digital address,
fine.
you can always trace, and it's going to drive interest rates down. That is the impact of what we are doing.
Fuseni, let me ask you a question.
That is the impact of what we are doing.
You brought in this digital address system.
Yes.
Have the banks been able to tell us that they've been able to identify and
remember,
locate
this is the
those
first month.
fraudulent?
The Big Issue segment brought to you by Niche Chocolate, and it's good for everybody in the family. My guest lawyer, Abraham Amaliba, Kwame Jantoa, and Honorable Fuseni Issa, from a member of parliament for the Okanekwe North constituency. Before the break, Amaliba was airborne. I'm sure we can take a quick second round of the conversations. I'm sure they have raised issues that you have, qualms about. But somebody sends me this message. Maybe I read to you. It says, this address system does not work. This is a banker friend. He says, we are tracing a customer, and the GPS address took us to a fitting shop. Then I asked him to stop it. He says, I'm serious. So this is one of the
Impact.
things. Yeah.
Some may even send it to
And for me, my example is I've stood in front of my house, generated my GPS address, and then my wife stands at the same place, and the coordinates we get are different.
I don't have a GPS address on my house.
Why don't you have?
There's no one on my house.
Have you applied for? Have you checked?
Yes, I've checked. They haven't come to do it.
What the system was
So it's the
supposed to have
impact.
done was that the impact will
It's
come.
the impact.
You see, when you say
It's not the impact will come.
I'm
We want
making-
it now.
How can you
Want it now.
demand
Okay, so
for a
this is-
system
so-
that is being put in
so
place?
this banker-
Independence
first-
now. Independence
Uh-huh,
now.
that is what brought us to
Independence
Yours is
now.
in the shortest possible.
The
That is
shortest
what brought us
possible.
to
They are still doing shortest possible time.
When
They're still doing
you
shortest
had
possible
invited somebody to come here help in the struggle for independence, and he decides
Because they realized you
Take
weren't
the
doing the
system.
right thing. You weren't doing the
if
right
we weren't
thing.
doing the right thing, we would have not found him.
You
to
wanted
be
it
a
for
useful
you wanted it for a small group of
human
people.
resource
John,
that
this
we needed
conversation, let me
to
make
enable us get independence.
This conversation is engaging now. Let's move.
Let's more.
So when Mr.
Please
Jantua
respond
says
to
that,
the things that they have.
I was telling Mr. Jantua something like, look, today, part of the reasons why you go to a bank and interest rates are higher than now the what is in vogue is to compare us to our neighboring countries is that even where to locate people, how to identify what people do, you don't know. Now, what
But you just heard from what the gentleman said.
Oh, Mr. Jantua, I will address his face.
Answers for
Now, the problem is that when the banks have linked our national IDs
Right.
together, remember also that your national ID number
Bawumia
is same as your TIN,
the one you read.
your tax identification number. So automatically with your bank card, right? All transactions, because look, you need your TIN number to even clear goods from the hub to do a lot of things. It will get to a point where you will need your TIN number, show that you are you are updated with your tax obligations to the state before you get certain services. It is how it is done in other economies. In the UK, when you don't have an NI number, you virtually can't do anything. Even your GP, you can't go and see your GP. That's the
That's
system
a
in
general
place.
practitioner. Your doctor, you mean?
That's
speak
a
our
general
language so that we can-
you see sometimes you just say, you see, so this is, we are creating a community, right, where your economic transactions can be traced, who you are, where you live, everything. All of this will contribute towards, because the bank knows who they are lending to. If you have to move on from your current address to a new address, the landlord or whatever, if your own property, to be able to register the property, you need to update your addresses and all. Now we know where people are. We know what they do.
So-
you are able
so-
to charge the right
sorry.
taxes.
So this
you are
banker-
able to provide them the services, even for planning
The
purposes.
banker sends back a message. Said the last time a customer came to open an account and the address she gave us, when we verified from the system, it belonged to a restaurant. But the customer took a picture of the address government officials came to put in front of their house.
You see, when you
So
are,
what's in front of their house actually is the address of, and she shares the GPS
when you're doing a system like what we have in place, I don't think that anybody can have 100% right. My system, my address works perfectly.
Okay.
I send my address to people and they put in their GPS and they drive to my home. It works perfectly. I am sure that by far, what we are getting right cannot be related.
Okay.
And I mentioned this MPLs and non-performing loans,
Non-performing
even
loans,
provide
yeah.
them. It's going to bring it down. And by bringing this down, it could have a ripple effect in the economy because consumer borrowing and all of that can go up. And when you are able to stimulate the economy by creating the ability for people to consume, it has a ripple effect on the economy.
Okay.
You see, this is what we are creating. We are in July. It is this month that a bank requests that you need to use your Ghana card as a basic ID in the bank. But already you are expecting to get results when probably you have not even complied by the banks, what the bank is demanding. Let's
Okay.
give ourselves time. I'm sure if we had done this 10 years ago, if we had done this, even after Kufuor, after President Kufuor left office, if NDC had put some resources to this NIA thing, we probably have done it some 10 years ago. and we wouldn't
But I'm
be
sure,
where we are today.
but we started the process. But I think Beth
What
and
did they
Jepla
do?
and the team were there.
What did they do?
The Ghana
Nothing.
cards, people were issued with Ghana. I was issued
And
with
I
Ghana
did-
cards. Yes, I was.
And
issued
I
with- yes, I was
NDC,
issued with Ghana
I
cards.
registered,
And,
I registered an Akufo.
Right.
I registered an Akufo. I got a card.
I'm saying
NDC
I was.
NDC did it.
You lie. You
NDC
lie.
did
You
it.
lie.
Prove it to me.
You are lying.
No, prove it
This
to
is
me.
an example.
Prove it to me.
People were
NDC
giving
did
cards.
it. NDC did it. Not that I know.
I was giving.
You
the
came to
cards.
say that you want to upgrade the system.
Not
and
that I
the
know.
system doesn't
Not
capture
that
all
I
the
know.
10 hands.
You know,
And the
fingers.
NDC Ghana
Fuzeni,
card.
Fuzeni,
Not that I know.
Fuzeni, you
If you
know
don't know
you-
something, doesn't
hold
mean
on,
that doesn't
Fuzeni,
That is what I'm saying. Not
Fuzeni,
that I know.
Fuzeni, you
That
know that-
8 years under NDC, I didn't see
Fuzeni,
NI progress.
Fuzeni,
Not even an inch.
I had a Ghana card under
And
NDC
for-
administration. No,
and NPP.
under NDC administration.
why?
And then recently there was a video circulating that the NIA said they were cards from that regime.
Yeah, exactly.
Which had been
So-
upgraded, and so those cards had to be discarded.
So were there no
And then-
cards?
So
and
what-
then
what-
somebody-
Were there no
problem?
cards?
So there were cards.
Eh?
Were there no cards?
And I am saying that those cards were under President Kufuor.
Look at
And
lies.
nothing. 8 years under NDC. I can
Okay.
prove it to us that NDC
All right,
issued one ID card in this
Johnny.
country.
My
Prove
friend,
it to us.
the MC of Bongo says that's where he shares his address. Are you inviting me for Tuosafi?
You
He
can-
says
you
my
can,
bankers
yes.
are able to trace my location with ease. So that's another person saying that his GPS works and the bankers are able to trace. Another
Thank you,
person
Honorable
says
MC.
we are not able to. Yes.
Johnny, the
Mine also
problem
works.
with this administration is that they fail to take responsibility. And you begin to wonder whether they are angels. That their actions has not caused this country the challenges that we are facing. And if you continue doing that, we'll be where we are. The last time was Gabi. When he said that they are going to IMF was because of the minority resistance in parliament.
Partly so.
Huh? So, this bunkus of a submission sometimes is worrying. Why? Was it the NDC that asked them to overborrow? Take from Diago de Azambuja through to Gordon Gorgisbeck to Nkrumah
Who is Azambuja?
to he doesn't even know his history. He doesn't even know his history. Through to Kufuor, through to Rawlings, through now. You've borrowed more than anybody. You have put us in this mess. But when they are talking, they will never talk about it.
What has
Why?
Azamoah got to do with it?
Why? The corruption. The Auditor General's report. Is that the making of the NDC? Is that the making of the NDC? The corruption that has engulfed this administration. Is that the making of the
You're
NDC?
speaking general. Be
Now,
specific.
reckless expenditure, such as the cathedral, where money is doled out to one individual. Is that the making of the NDC too? How about the jet flying president, the luxurious jet flying president? Is that the making of the NDC too? So why don't you own up and take responsibility and say that, well, this has happened, but I will deal with it. They keep passing the buck. And I find that as an act of dishonesty on the part of this current administration. I do not think that our problems can be attributable to the past alone. How about your own problems, your own conduct?
You want the government to say we also contributed to this.
I want the government to say that. For instance, we came in, we appointed 125 ministers. That has an impact on our resources. But we have turned around. And this is the time we have reduced it to 88. That is the fair analysis.
But even that was Shey Mesabo.
I was going to say that.
To be cut.
Yeah, the 88.
Their own person has told them that you have a bloated government.
Yes, so I'm saying that.
Kwabena Japan has also said that he believes that we must at the point. He doesn't think that we need more than 20 ministers.
Fine.
He's a former general secretary of the NPP.
And the constitution says how many?
19. Not less than 19.
Not less than
There's no
19.
cap.
Less than 19.
But there's no cap.
So I'm saying that you could also look inwards and look at some of your actions which impact negatively on the economy and say that, well, we are progressing, we are moving away from those acts, and can't you see that we have come to 88? that is a progression. But you don't just make it look like your actions, you are angels in government. And as for you, you have done nothing to contribute to this mess.
Okay.
That's
not fair.
a useless government approach of doing things.
That's what yes, sir.
I think the MPP,
Malaba started me.
the MPP,
Next week, I'm not going to sign
the
it.
MPP and the government in power should lead the crusade of bringing this country together, because the jigsaw isn't fitting. They should take a stance where they can, first of all, admit their mistakes, admit that there's been mismanagement, and bring everybody together to help sort out problems of the last government and what they came to meet. If they say the last government contributed to what we're going through today, let's all sit down. And I believe we have got to a point where we should have a Senchi. We've got to a point where we have to
People
sit.
attend
Well,
in the past when
well,
Essential was called,
well,
the MPP boycotted.
well, but there were some
But
MP,
Mr.
there were some
Pianim.
MPP members who attended.
Pianim.
Mr. Pianim attended. The senior Osafo Mafo,
Right.
he attended. The number of MPP people who attended because they saw the veracity in it. This is the time where the president should say, right, where we are today, and the vice president has just told us it's going to get harder. This is the time they need to speak to us. This is the time we need to bring the country together. This is the time we need to hold hands and say, right, we are going through this together. Wouldn't it have been great if the president came and said, due to the challenges we are going through, I have cut down the government to this number. I will make sure that in terms of all these vehicles that we are using, we'll cut it. Oh, please.
Allow him, please.
Please.
Allow him.
Please, have a finance minister, not to talk about finance minister.
why?
He's the cause of most of our problems.
How so?
He's
How
borrowing
so?
all over. because
Borrowing
his company-
all over.
His company will benefit.
Didn't
He
the what
was
you call
finance
listen,
minister from
listen,
2017
listen,
to
didn't, and that is where he's brought us. Didn't
Mr. Pianim said, as a
I
matter of
said-
principle, he should consider resigning.
Didn't the minister for what do you call it, roads and highways? Yeah, what did he say to us? Didn't it slip that we're going to collateralize the e-levy?
That's right.
And when they came out, it's not true. Because you see, at the present moment in this country, we used to have a Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning.
That's right.
So you plan the economy before the finances come in. Where is economic planning today?
We have a management team.
No, where is economic planning today? Who is planning the economy?
We have a management team.
Management
A
team that does
solid
what?
economic
I
management
said,
team.
where is it? Is that where it's supposed to be? We said we have a solid management, economic management team. Have they been able to stop us from going to IMF? We are not planning the economy. And if you're not planning the economy, it's always manifestos that now seep into it that doesn't help. We've got to get to a stage where we do the right things. Where we are today, let's go back. Let's go back to Nkrumah's 7-year development plan on education. He took politics out of it completely. Do we take politics out of ours? Look at all the contracts, most of the contracts that have been given to school feeding. Ask me where it's gone to. Into party people. It's not party people. Is that how it's supposed to be? That when government comes in, the government that was in before, forget it. There are people, they're not part of the country. Half of CPP, they just put them aside, crowd. They would never get anywhere in there. But we have people in this country who aren't part of the ruling party who can help this country move forward. Why aren't we bringing them on board? Especially in this situation we find ourselves in.
Okay.
How long is it going to take us? Look, if the IMF, and as I said the last time, the IMF can't see Ghana go down the drain. They'll do anything to prop Ghana up. But when they give us this IMF facility, it's going to go into another government, isn't it?
That's right.
What are we doing to sit and plan?
Okay.
And it's got to do with the president showing an olive branch to everyone who we feel can help this economy run. He won't. He hasn't even spoken to us. Why will he do it? Has he spoken to us? He said it in dispatches, but has he come and said, fellow Ghanaians, ABCD, has he?
But so the vice president spoke.
Who voted for who? Did you vote for the vice president? Out of the two, who did you vote for? Out of the two, who did Ghanaians vote for? Isn't it the president? Huh? It isn't the president. And the handbag is following. He can leave the handbag there and continue moving, can't he?
No, there's no handbag.
Okay. The NPP goes to the polls. Internal elections. National executives will be elected tomorrow, God willing. You're smiling. Do you have a vote?
I'm not a delegate.
You're not a delegate,
Yeah,
so you have no vote.
Yeah, but I'm very active.
But you have a voice, eh?
Of course, I mean, gracefully.
What are you looking forward to?
I think that the New Patriotic Party deserves a pat on the back for all the hard work done. I mean, it's not been very easy. It's been, I mean, along the lines we have had challenges, but we have come this far and carried the party through polling stations, electoral areas, constituency, regional elections, and finally we are to the very final hurdle. And hopefully, I have been very active in working closely with the elections committee on behalf of a particular candidate.
Which candidate is that?
I'm working for Stephen Ayinsu team.
Team?
Yes, I believe that.
He will not win the election, so.
I mean, all of that is in the past. I believe that where we find ourselves today as a political party, we need the maturity and the vision that a man like Stephen Team brings to the table. I think that by far the polls are showing that he's in the lead, and it's a matter of the coronation happening tomorrow. I believe that his
on this occasion you are refusing his question, but previously you had even answered questions that were rhetorical.
No, when he's speaking and he invites me in, fine. I have not invited him. I have not invited him.
Answer my. Who's in whose camp?
It's a political process, and that is involved. You see. Let me address that situation.
Yes.
All major political traditions have camps within it. I recollect a typical Blairites and Brownites situation within the Labour Party in the UK at a point in time, within the NDC. I mean, it's normal, and it's sometimes it even contributes to the growth of the party.
We agree.
And sometimes it does. But as to
is it whose camp?
You see, interestingly,
camp,
let me make a point. Let me make a point.
Minister's camp.
Let me make a point. Interestingly, these camps have not featured in our elections right from the polling station. I'm telling you.
So who would, he says, give me a candidate.
We are looking at uniting our party more than ever for the battles ahead of us.
It appears that most of you who don't have appointments in this government are with Stephen Team.
It is not.
So is Stephen Team for
I don't
Alan
think it's
Chairman?
the case.
It depends
I don't
on
think
whose
it's
camp
the
he
case.
is in.
Look, I'm telling you, last 4 years this time, I was very deep in Blaise camp. Right? This time I'm working for Stephen Team. It's like that. It shows how we see this party as a united.
Pro Nanado or pro Alan?
It is
pro Bawumia or pro Alan?
He's pro New Patriotic Party. He's pro New Patriotic Party.
And pro Kufuor.
I am telling you that he is pro New
Alan.
Patriotic Party, and I hope that tomorrow the delegates will come and finish the coronation.
I wish you well.
Of Steve Ayinsu Team.
Yes. You don't have a vote, so they were addressed.
Trust me.
What is clear is that they are going to the elections tomorrow to elect officers who will send them to opposition.
Oh, how? Breaking the 8.
So, what I'll urge them to do is that.
How can you break the 8 when you go to IMF?
What I will urge them to do is that they should elect officers who are competent enough so that when they go into opposition, they can hold NDC accountable.
That's Ivor Green Street's line.
Now, they've not shown that during the regional elections.
Unfortunately,
They've maintained
electing people.
They've maintained the executives who brought them to this situation where they don't have majority in parliament. These are the people who steered affairs, and then we won most of the seats.
Okay.
They've maintained them. I'm urging them that at the national level, they should get competent people because they'll be going into opposition and we need to be held accountable. We want good governance.
You want to be held accountable.
We want good governance.
Okay. Council, you have the final word.
Well, I wish the MPP well.
I like the look of your face. You don't even believe what you said.
No.
Our time is up.
I wish the MPP well. I hope there's not going to be any kata at the
We have
elections.
proven it. We know how to do it.
And I hope that they will come out with the right people to man the party. Every political party in this country is important.
Right.
Even the ones like they call ourselves small parties. We are all part and parcel of the system of governance.
Right.
So let's hope they come out well, and we will be monitoring, and we will see what will happen.
Thank you. Lawyer, Ambassador Zambiale says this one. Says, Johnny, so the so-called banking sector cleanup is coming up as one of the terrible scams of the NPP. What actually caused the crisis in the banking sector? Is it the insolvency of those banks or the call to the banks to increase their capitalization from 120 million to 400 million? Was the run over the banks for the panic withdrawal, not because of the speculative attacks on the banks by the Bank of Ghana? People rushed to the banks because the finance minister threatened several times that it was going to close down some banks. In any case, they said they needed only 9 billion to clean up the banks. They ended up destroying the banks instead of cleaning up with 25 billion. Could they have not gotten the banks of Ghana to take over the management of those banks to keep them in operation? In the end, they issued interest-free bonds that is retrievable in 5 years. So, on what? So, what did the government spend on the 25 billion on? We are where we are because of the corruption, mismanagement, and bad policy choices. Without more, Honorable Fuseni, can you allow other panelists to speak? That's what Ambassador Zambiale says. Good morning. Well, today at 4:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Business on TV3, the fuel price expected to drop, but we will tell you what it can deny as the expectation of reduction. Well, we told you that in the past. Maybe we're hazarding another one. Some CSOs are campaigning for debt for Ghana. We assess the chances of the campaign. We continue to explore talents, earning people lots of money on our Friday stories. And 4:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. If you join us on our platform, you get all the detail. Happy birthday to Kofi Nshira Nyima. You're 9 years today from Elembele KK. Also, happy birthday to Daniel Wolf Cochran of Ebenezer Presby Church Osu. It's your birthday today. This is from Hasnat. Happy birthday also to my auntie, Mrs. Dinah Kokoi Okwabi of Carnation. This is from your children, Nayoko of Dawina. Also to you, I've forgotten Mr. George Okwabi and Kelvin as well. Happy birthday to Joyce Chifa Amejo from Nanikria Class Peters of the party crew. We love you. Happy birthday also to Honorable Daniel Dr. Kluche Aveji, Public Accounts Committee Chairman. This from Philip Abochi Keta. And also happy birthday to Adolph Lawson. In advance to you, actually. Your son, Oliver Lawson, here at TV3 wishes you well. And a happy birthday to you if it's your birthday as well. One to Mrs. Agnes Maud Na Kodai Gansa. And this from Minai Kukwa Nimzi and Achezepa and your husband as well. A happy birthday also in advance to you, Lady Euphemia Presla Lai, my sister. It's going to be your birthday. And if it's your birthday as well, happy birthday. Adelaide Nanaikia Queno of Ebenezer Academy, Kassoff and Ko. It's your birthday today. Your father sends a birthday message. Happy birthday if it's yours as well. Thanks to Sonar Fashions in Tamale for my outfit. 0246 590162. Wish the MPP well as they go into the elections. Your little daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zaina was 4 years.
Okay. Send her Momo. Send her Momo. Send her Momo. Not to be on IMF program. We'll see you after the break. The sports and more here on TV3 Newday.